Welcome to Mutator Monday. This is the first episode, for lack of a better word, of this series, which is being called Mutator Monday, where I'm going to look at play mechanics I'm looking at a type of play mechanic each week. It's going to do that can be applied across to a range of games. Maybe almost every single game, maybe a genre, anything else. This is the first one. This is the massive multiplayer Vox Populi format. Go a little bit of the history and how this developed. I originally was coming idea thinking of Kasparov versus the world. Then I thought of what happens if and this was about chess. Go look up Kasparov versus the world. It was actually very interesting. Considered one of the top 100 matches of the 20th century. Anyhow, Kasparov played a crowd. And the idea was crowd playing itself and then defecting. Connect 4 is going to be a default game. I'll show you how to play in a minute, but I want to go over how to do this. Anyhow, future weeks we'll probably look at Mistress and some other things. Anyhow, what you do here is you have the players. I'm having the chess pieces as the players. They're props. I don't have an audience here. You have the pieces for the board. And I'd recommend a chess clock, a clock of some sort. As time it puts pressure on the sides to do things. Now, what you can do is that one side will, let's say black goes first. Well, actually, it'll go here. It goes first. They collectively decide amongst themselves where they're going to make their move, and they do it. Then, while they're making a decision, this is one of the pieces, by the way. It's a stack of checkers. They can look over the situation, and while they're making their decision, they can decide to drop out. This is the offline version. And I'll explain the second online version. What it was is they make a decision. Let's say early on this person gets bad feelings about it. They can drop out. So you go here, make sure you can see it. We're going to put on the redefined bar. Pieces that drop out we'll put on the bar. He drops out. This player drops out. The chess knight drops out. This is what you do when you're playing offline. I found out when playing this that there's group dynamics that really doesn't do the original way I envisioned, which I'd like to have online if you're playing anonymously, non-attached people. Or you're playing with hardcore gamers that can do this. You've got hardcore players of games. A person can go over here and defect to the other team. You have decisions on how many times you allow defecting like this. Once they're out like this, they're out. So they end up defecting. You see how that works. And then they would collectively make a decision. All the while this is going on, the chess clock is running. And whatever, you would hit this thing and it would go down. And I probably had to do reset. But anyhow, you see, I'd allocate like 5 minutes per side, and then you punch the clock like you're playing chess. And the other side does it. So again, offline version, go there. Online version, you defect to the other team. Now, what you're going to have as the game's playing on is that players will drop out. And they drop out there. Well, let's say white's getting a whole lot of momentum here. Go like this. They're whittling down. You see what's happening. Well, the end result is, let's say we're down to 3. Here's a situation. By the way, why would you drop out? If, let's say for example, black pieces drop out and white wins, these players who dropped out win. Okay? That's what you do. And if, let's see, black knights come back, they would lose. Same thing defecting to the other side here. That's why you end up dropping out. You're trying to collectively work together as a team, deciding whether you want to drop out or not. It's a measure of quitting mechanisms, or you could do actually some scientific research in group dynamics using this format. But anyhow, I could play chess board. I'm just using I'll explain a little bit of the 4 in a row, Captain's Mistress, Connect 4 type game. Anyhow, let's say the game was going on, you were dropping pieces in here. And you go across, let's say this person dropped out. Then it looks like white's about to win. The thing that happens here, why you want to drop out early enough is, if all these players are in the same turn while these guys are deliberating, decide they're going to drop out together, these guys lose. Because it's like they quit. These guys who dropped out ahead of time decided to do it that way. You could play with like a trader, for example. You want to have somebody who's a mole, they want to be on the opposite side. If their side's winning, they want to drop out early. If it's losing, they want to be there. You can add a trader mechanism. Now I'll explain a little bit of how we would do this with pretty much the 4 in a row set here. Normally you're going to have 7 columns, and you can play it this way, but for the sake of balance you don't do it. As you can see, or hopefully see now, you see that there's like 7 holes. I put this over here to cover it up for the sake of balance. So it's the same thing as regularly connect 4. You drop one piece in, you would go, let's say it goes here, then this side would go there, so on and so forth. And keep going until you get 4 in a row. And like this. And you're alternating turns. This is a little bit different from the simultaneous version. Note this one here, I could drop a piece in there because there's an opening on top, but it's blocked out because you're not supposed to. And then this side would go here and win the game. So anyhow, it's normal connect 4, but as you see the way play mechanic works, and by the way, playing with the chess clock, I recommend playing with the timing mechanism that puts pressure, so when these guys make their moves, they go back, keep pushing the clock, the time will wind down at that point. Anyhow, that's the massive multiplayer Vox Populi format. Vox Populi being voice of the people, the original name. As I was describing, they're switching over to massive multiplayer. These would be the pieces, they would represent actual players, and you're not limited to 5. You could do something as short, it would be a challenge as, let's say, 2-on-1. You could do that. Or what else you could do is you could play with hundreds of players. Again, these are just props, which is why I have them here. Again, this is the massive multiplayer format with Vox Populi. Massive multiplayer format. Remember the online version? Offline version, you end up quitting. You drop out. In the online version, you end up defecting to the other team. I'd recommend sending a number of tries. Maybe you're allowed to defect once. People have tried to play this game where they've tried to undermine their opponent by just being totally random, or not necessarily random, but setting up their team to lose and defecting. Crowd tends to work against that. But anyhow, that's here. I do want to thank you for watching. Stay tuned for other videos in the coming weeks where I look at other play mechanics you can apply. As I say, you can apply this to anything that's an abstract strategy game. Maybe not abstract, maybe not abstract isn't perfect luck. It's going to be perfect informational luck, but recommend it really works well. You can take any abstract strategy in chess, checkers, the 4-in-a-row game here, and turn it pretty much a party game. Feel free to comment, reply below if you've seen this before anybody else does it. If you've had experience using this after trying the video, feel free to come back and post a report and give some feedback. It doesn't have to be the 4-in-a-row game, it could be anything else. 4-in-a-row typically works well enough because it's relatively simple enough. So anyhow, I do want to thank you for watching, and may your die always roll 5.